different voices, a whole new spirit. Ooh, people working together from every walk of life, making changes for the better. We've come so far.
Can everybody hear me all right? I always ask that before I do a presentation, because one time I was doing a presentation, in the middle of it, somebody in the back said, "Can you speak up? I can't hear you." And the guy in front turned around and said, "I'll trade you places." So this afternoon I'd like to spend a little time talking about what's going on in the city with city government, as well as what's going on downtown Joliet. So first of all, I'd like to start off by telling you that when I interviewed for the position, I had suggested, and the council agreed, mayor and council agreed, that we should have a strategic planning process. It's very important to make sure that everybody is aligned with the same goals, and we're all headed in the same direction. So it's a four-step process. By the end of this month, we will have a consultant distribute a SWOT analysis, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And then from that, he'll compile the results of both the mayor and the council members and the department heads. Then we'll have 2 meetings where we will sit down and establish measurable outcomes and develop detailed initiatives and action plans. From that, there will be a follow-up meeting with the staff so that we can put these into specific objectives for each department and develop a 3 to 5 year strategic plan. With that, I had asked the council to adopt the proposed budget. Our calendar year is the same as our fiscal year, as it was presented. And then after we're through with this strategic plan, we can revisit that document and make sure our priorities are aligned with those goals that are set out in the strategic plan. We want to make sure that we're spending our money on those things that are going to move us forward and achieve these results. I want to tell you a story back, nowadays when you're striping a street, they use thermoplastic at high temperature to lay it down. But back in the old days, it used to be a guy with a paint can and a brush. So this guy got hired, and first day, he painted 3 miles. And the supervisor was really impressed. Next day, 2 miles. Then 1 mile, then a half mile. And the supervisor said, "What's wrong? You started out so well." And he goes, "I can't help it. Each day the paint can gets further and further away." The point is, and I'll get back to that, is a practical, obvious answer to one person isn't necessarily obvious to the next. So right now we're working with the City Center Partnership to develop a City Center plan. And the areas of focus, the components to that plan, are going to be the Chicago Street Corridor, and working with the county and with the courts to hopefully be able to get Chicago Street to go completely through where the parking lot is right now, and make that a focus of the second component, which is downtown economic development. The third component that we have here is parking and wayfinding. Now the process has been that we issued an RFP, and we got about 13 proposals back, and a committee sat down and made up of partnership members and city representatives to review these proposals. And then we invited 6 of them to come in and do a presentation, which was just a week ago, and some of you may have attended that. And I tell you, they're all looking at the same request for proposal. They're all, talking about what they're going to do, but when we heard the presentations, they each had very different, very succinct methods of accomplishing those goals. And so what I thought was obvious and what another committee member thought was an obvious solution. We heard these new ideas, so hopefully we'll have a recommendation for the City Council by the second meeting in February. One of the things that you may have seen in parentheses there was parking. When I first got to Joliet, what I kind of inherited was the staff was looking at unsolicited proposals from 3 different companies that were coming to us and saying, here's what we can do for you. And we all had some very interesting proposals, but the question was, what was the problem in the first place that you were trying to fix? So I decided we needed to wrestle that away from the RFP and do this on our own. So we've got a professional parking company coming in who's going to create an inventory of all of our downtown parking. They're going to look at the utilization. Different times of the day, each structure, each open parking lot is utilized differently. There are certain methods of parking, how far away they are from entertainment, from business place, and so forth. They'll review our city organization. We've got a number of employees. There's parking enforcement personnel. There's the operational side, the maintenance of the structures, the cleaning, and so forth. They'll look at our revenues and expenses. The parking fund is an independent enterprise fund, which means it can make a profit, and the money it makes can only be spent on parking as well. It's not a part of the city's general fund. And right now, we're down about $150,000 in that fund, and so we need to take a look at that as well. They're going to look at the actual infrastructure of the parking lots and the structures themselves. We want to make sure that they're well lit and people feel safe and comfortable in utilizing our parking structures and our parking lots. We're going to look at signage and also the enforcement side of it. And then they, being the experts, are going to look at all of the best practices that are out there, compare them to what we're doing right now, and make recommendations in terms of changes. We're going to then take that study and pass that to the selected consultant for the downtown plan. The consultants all came in. They were groups of planners, engineers, and designers partnered together to make these proposals, and they will take this plan back and incorporate it into their recommendations in terms of the primary focus, which is economic development in the downtown. Now I want to talk a little bit about the Multimodal Program. This is going to be a multi-year multimodal program. Now nobody in the back can trade with somebody in the front. So anyways, I can step back away from the mic too. But for those of you who can't see, what we've got here are the train tracks, and this is the new parking area that has been acquired. Up here's the stadium area, and the first phase, which is complete, is the parking area there. Moving on to phase 2, which will begin this summer. The first thing that's going to happen is we have to set up a temporary access for all of the people here. Now that's going to cause a lot of problems with traffic flow next to the stadium. And this platform is also going to start construction as well. Now this parking structure was originally proposed and is now on hold. The partnership that we were working with really couldn't financially make it work, meaning we might as well bond it and build it ourselves because they wanted some assurances and guarantees that we just decided wasn't acceptable to the city. So we still have the option of building that structure. But this temporary platform will be there for probably 18 months while construction continues. Then you're also going to see construction begin this summer on the bus depot, which is down in this area. And that should be actually complete by the end of 2014. So when you think about that, there's going to be a heck of a lot of construction going on with the temporary platform and 2 platforms plus the bus station that's going to be built there. We're in the process of acquiring property for the bus routes to travel, in and out of the bus depot area. Then, of course, you're going to have the new station here, and then the renovation of the old Union Station that will probably occur in 2015. So at this point, I want to tell you the story. When my son was a youngster, he was out on the playground, and there was a bit of bragging amongst the kids. And the first one says, "My dad's so fast that when he shoots an arrow, he can run and beat it to the target." The next kid says, "That's nothing. My dad's a hunter, and he can shoot a gun, and he can beat the bullet to the target." And my son speaks up and he goes, "You guys don't know nothing about fast. My dad's a city manager, and he quits work at 5 o'clock every day, and he's home by 4:30. So I want to segue. The moral of that story is talking about fast. And what we're talking about is a master fiber optic plan for downtown Joliet. And you ask why. And so based on historical and projected population growth, you can see during the next 20 years, we're going to have a 77% increase in our population in the county. This is our downtown area. This is our business grid. And what I want to do is a little overlay and show you all of the city facilities that we have. Now let's add the counties. Now let's add the 6 bridges that are controlled by IDOT on the waterway, and then our school system. Right now, we are working with IDOT. They have cameras on the bridges, and we have cameras on the bridges. And we're trying to coordinate so that we can utilize the new camera system that IDOT's going to put on there and have access at our police station of those cameras. Also, we're going to have almost 100 cameras down in our multimodal facility, and we need fiber optic to the police headquarters there so that we can monitor what's going on in the downtown area. So that will happen for sure. Now look at a few more layouts, and you're accessing the whole area, the whole downtown. So there's the line. I'm not sure which will come first. I think IDOT said that they're letting the contract next month for the fiber optics to connect all of the bridges. And then they will no longer have tenders at each one of the bridges, but they'll have a central control and open and close those bridges at each point just by monitoring the video screens. At the same time, we can monitor all of the bridges from a security standpoint the same way that we have, and they've already agreed that we can lay a fiber optic which will be exposed on the shore right on top of the wall there, all the way up and down between the bridges. From there, we can tie into the police station and send that line over to the multimodal, and then you can tap in any direction from there. Now, the importance of having a plan like this ahead of time, and this will be presented by our IT director to the Chamber's Executive Board in more detail in the next couple, 3 weeks. But look to the south, and we've got, we can go as far south as we want off of that Chicago Street line. And the other thing is, it costs about $200 a lineal foot to put fiber optics in underground if you're digging it up. But it only costs $5 a lineal foot if the hole's already there. So as different projects continue throughout the city and future development, if we're opening up Chicago Street for renovation, that's the time that we want to be ready to put this fiber optic in. Everybody around us has some kind of fiber optic in place, and we think that Joliet should join everybody in that effort. And again, it's another economic development tool, but it'll also be a real work tool for the county, the schools, IDOT, and the city of Joliet. So, going back to fast, we want to have fast speedways, fast trains, and fast business. So, what is the Chamber's involvement with the downtown, and why is it important? Well, property values are based, number one, not on, people don't look at taxes when they say, here's where I want to move. They look at schools, number one, but in the top 5, even before taxes, is a sense of belonging, a sense of community. And the downtown is really the core versus any other suburb of Chicago. And that's really important to continue economic development in our downtown area. It's really more than your downtown. When I talk about economic development for the downtown area, it's not just that. Because if I'm a businessman and I want to relocate my manufacturing plant from Cook County to Will County, I'm going to look at downtown Joliet because this is where I'm going to live and this is where I'm going to raise my family. And so it has this peripheral effect outside of your downtown area that it's really extremely important. Be on board. That really means once this city center plan is complete, and there will be ample opportunity for all of us to participate. There'll be a number of public hearings that the consultants will put together. It'll take about 9 months to have a finished product. Some of the deliverables will be at 4 and 6 months, but 9 months is the maximum we anticipate completion. And all along the way, there'll be public hearings and meetings where any one of you can participate and provide input and feedback on what they're presenting. One of the, when I say break the cycle, you hear, oh, I don't want to be there because nobody's there. And we have to stop that cycle. One of the presenters presented their RFP. He quoted Yogi Berra, said, downtown, nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded. So that's the kind of place Joliet needs to be. And then what can the city do? I think a strong police presence is really important, not from an enforcement standpoint, because people don't want, it's a fine line, it's a fine balance between people feeling like they're being watched by the police versus they're being cared for by the police. And so it's interaction that the police have with the community, with the residents, with the visitors that come to downtown Joliet. And in the long run, it'll pay off, big dividends. And with that, I'll open it up to questions. Thank you.
You can hear it, different voices, a whole new spirit.